Welcome to the Rewards Master Live. This is our live extra show that I'd often do on Friday evenings and go over recent comments and questions and just have some time to chat and to engage with the community. Let me see if I can pull up here how many are on so far. Just getting started. Sometimes it starts slow and sometimes a bunch of people jump on quick. So it can go either way. So let's see who we have so far. Looks like there's, I don't know, about between 5 and 10 on here already, including Dem. Hey, Dem, I've got one of your comments that's highlighted tonight, by the way. But where you at? Are you still traveling? I know we just got back early Wednesday morning, so I thought you were still out of the country for a little bit. Good to see you, though. Chad's Money Minutes. Hey, Chad. If any of you, there's aren't any here so far, but anybody who is, I want to encourage you to check out Chad's channel. Been traveling a lot for work, Chad. Been going any place fun? Love to hear about it. Welcome back, RM. Dim says, thank you, Dim. Appreciate that. Richie says, hello. Hey, Richie. Good to see you tonight. Dim says hello to Chad. Basemo says that he made it. Good to have you here. Good to have you here. And LG 1914 says, good evening, LG. Good to have you with us. Chad is in San Jose right now. All right. Been to San Jose. Used to live in Pleasanton years ago, so not very far from San Jose. So we've been down there a bunch, usually on the way to Santa Cruz and Monterey, but it's not a bad place. Chad says hello back to Dem. And Nuracan says, good evening, everyone. Good to have you here with us, Nuracan. Calderds, what are you missing most from Italy, RM? I am missing my horse steak. It was awesome. If you're those of you who are channel members, you know what I'm talking about from the little quick channel member video. I kind of did it for comic relief sake. We were there with a group of people from our church, and when they did the Google Translate on the menu on the door, this is in Como, by the way. Did the menu on the door, and we hadn't walked around the corner and seen the English menu yet. It came up horse ribeye, and they said, "Oh, Google Translate's messing up." So I said something funny to the girl who was our waitress, and she said, "No, that's not a joke. We serve both beef because the regular English menu just said beef." So I'm like, "Oh, horse! I've never had that before." So I ordered it, and it was like I probably had 5 or 6 steaks on this trip, and it was the best steak that I had. So anybody else ever had a horse steak? I mean, only if you're hungry enough to eat a horse. Isn't that right? So yeah, pretty. It was. I'm being funny about it because it is hilarious, but it was the best steak I had. It was very, very good, and I'd order it again tonight if I had the opportunity. So, Calderds, that's what I'm missing. Nuracan, welcome back home to Dim. Yep. Chad says LG is in the building. Dim back in the gunshine state. The gunshine state. That's a good way of putting it. I don't know where I live. Mississippi's kind of that way too. A tier 50 channel member says happy Friday. A tier, good to have you here. Dim is still recovering from the jet lag. Yep, we're getting ready to do in the fall. That's our big trip is to Asia, and so I imagine it's rough. Key Tap says long time lurker, first time chatting. Hello all. Hey Keg, good to have you with us. Good to have you on. Dim, first day back and up at 4 a.m., 6 a.m. Yeah. So I'm still waking up at like 4:30 a.m. I mean, it's just I don't know. I can't seem to help it. So I'm trying to creep it back a little bit more to more that 6 o'clock time frame. But Ryan Morrison, good to have you here. Ryan is a channel member, says hello, everybody. Dim says thanks to Nuracan. Nuracan, yep, will take several days to recover. It does. It does. That's the nature. That's the nature of it. And Dim says 12 to 13 hour time difference is brutal. It is. It for sure is. Takes time to recover from that for sure. All right. Well, tonight I am just going to go over some things. I just put out a video yesterday, and I don't think I've ever had, strangely, YouTube will tell you what's your top performing videos as far as what's getting the most views. And so this video that I put out yesterday on the different types of credit card users, and I had 10 different ones that I came up with. It was it was it was not the most, I guess, watched video that I've had. In fact, it ranked pretty good. It was like number 4 out of 10, at least so far. So that's not bad. That's certainly respectable. But if I had gone by the number of comments and things that people said in regard to this video, you would think it blew all of my other videos out of the water as far as how many people had watched it. And I think that's because it really engaged with my particular community of most of the people who watch my videos on the Rewards Master and engage in these chats and live streams and things, because it has a lot of differentiation between different types of credit card users. And a lot of folks who watch my channel, they're apex travelers. They have a lot of spend. They have a lot of high annual fee cards, things like that. And so I think I differentiated that out pretty strongly. And I got a lot of what I thought were great comments, including Dem's on here tonight. He's got one of those comments that we're going to go over. But it just had so much engagement. I thought, well, it'd be kind of fun for us to go through it. So before I get to some of the comments, let me just briefly break down. So what I did is, and you can go back and watch the full video if you choose to later, but basically I broke down things like different categories. And so the first one was beginners and simplicity. And of course, that is, basic starters, right? Or people who just want one card, cashback card. They don't want to mess with anything else. We get that idea. And then there was the low effort traveler. And on each of these, I had either one and sometimes two different types of travelers in each of them. So the low effort traveler is like, I mean, I think some of my kids are this way. Some other members of my family, they care about points and miles. And so they just call me for advice on what to get, but they're not going to put a lot of effort into it, right? They're going to use one travel portal, maybe, and book a lot of things through that. And they might transfer to a United or a Southwest or something like that, or Hyatt or a Hilton, but not a lot more than that. These are low effort travelers. And then I talked about status and identity. And these are the people who don't care as much about the rewards or what they're getting from the card. They just like to slap down an expensive card because it's part of the cachet of their life, right? They just want to, and I'm not even being, I'm not this person, but I'm not even being insultive of it, because image does matter, especially in some careers, in some fields. I mean, we have a family member who is a, high level lawyer who went to a top law school. And when our family member got into their office, they were driving like an old Toyota or a Ford. And it's like, well, you maybe need to upgrade that a little bit. I mean, so get you a Caddy or get you a Beamer or something, because I mean, that's not the world you're living in. So I guess what I'm getting at is that sometimes it can seem like we're just being negative about people who want something that's appropriate to reflect their success. But I don't think that's always a bad thing. So status and identity is another group. Then there's the budget enthusiasts, and this would include people who are really trying to hack their credit card points and miles. They love the hobby, but they're really focused on getting points for as low dollar output as they can. So they would have low annual fee or no annual fee setup, stuff like that. Then there's the value driven traveler. And I had a couple different ones under that, but I think of somebody like a Dugras, I think he would fit there very powerfully, because he's trying to get total net zero travel, right? He's trying to have everything paid for by points and miles. And then at the last level, advanced players, and one of them was churners. Think of like Filmo often comments on many videos and many lives. He's kind of that way, just constantly churning cards. You got to be a high level player to do that. And that's certainly that. And then there's what would be called the apex strategist. And that's kind of where I fit, because this is a person who has high spend, high engagement, and a person who pays big fees on purpose. On purpose. I mean, close to $7,000 in annual fees, and some of the folks who watch my channel have high like that as well. So this is the apex strategist, and the point of the video was to say you kind of need to know who you are before you go applying for cards and what your goals are and things of that nature. So that's just a brief overview. So I'm going to dive into some of the comments from it that I thought some of them were just fantastic. And then I figured some people in the live might want to self-identify as well. All right. Let's see. Do we have some more comments here? Yes. LG said, "What's going on?" to Chad. Nona jumped on here. Nona, hey baby, we just got back. I've been helping her work. She's got like 16 videos worth of content that we've got to edit down for Away Again Travel. So if you've not gone over to Nona's channel, Away Again Travels with Nona and Bop, please do that. There's a link down in the description. Give her a subscription. That makes her happy. I think she's up to 160, so she's creeping along. So Dim gives a $4.99 super chat, super sticker. Thank you. Thank you, Dim. I appreciate it very much. You're always very supportive. Background Balloon says, "I finally made it to our Rewards Master live." You did. Good to have you here. I don't know if I should call you Balloon or Background. I'm going to go with Balloon. Still at work, but day is finally slowing down and near the end of the workday. And what's better than a little live with points and miles at the end of your workday? I mean, that's awesome. Stinky Monkey Baby, best name on YouTube, is here. Says, "Hi, everyone. Good to have you here, Monkey." I'm going to call you that instead of Stinky. How's that? He says, I would love to be an Apex person, but don't have the spend to justify doing so. I get it. We've all been there. We've all been there. All right. So to dive into some of these, the first one I have on here, and these are all on that same video. So, I mean, I could have put 40 more. I mean, lots of engagement on this video. But this is from John Barnett, 7004. And John says churners are getting shut down more and more with banks. Either one-time language or tough approval process for high FICO people. Yes. And I think that what he's trying to get at is the day of the churner might be over. And I think that's more true on the personal side than it is on the business side. Because I agree. I mean, I used to churn a lot of points. And that's partly why I'm excited about Built, because Built can somewhat, because of the high earning potential, especially with Rakuten and other stuff, a points accelerator, all that it has. I think Built has the potential to help me make up, not for all of it that I used to churn, but for some of that. And so I think that's partly why I really like it, because I've not been able to churn as well as I used to on the personal side. Now, on the business side, especially with Amex, it seems like it's still possible. Although on the business side with Chase, they have really started to shut that down fairly significantly. So yes, I think churners are getting shut down, and the day or the world of the churners may be coming to an end. I think this is especially true. Capital One hates it. Chase seems to have used to be great with it, but they have done a complete 180, and Chase is not good with it anymore. Wells Fargo is not good with it. And Citi, it kind of depends. If you're in with them, it seems like they they're whatever about it. Barclays, kind of the same thing. Amex, if you're not in Pop-Up Joe, you're fine, but you're probably fine anyway on the business side. So it's just hard to say. It's hard to say. So let me see. We've got 36 watching is what my phone tells me, and 16 have hit the like button. Please hit the like button. If you give like Dim gave a a super while ago. That helps the algorithm, helps more people to come in, and any kind of gifted memberships that helps as well. So anything like that is greatly, greatly appreciated. So, like I said, 36 watching, 16 have hit the like button. All right, let's go back to the comments real quick. Dr. Points and Miles says, rare that I get to catch a live. Well, hey, Doctor, good to have you with us. Good to have you with us. I don't know if you like being called that or not, but when I'm called that by students all the time, but it's always feels awkward when anybody who is not a student calls me that. Manuel Jimenez says, good evening from Ibiza, Spain. All right. I bet that's beautiful there. Good weather? Good weather there? Deb says, built is an easy 100K points plus monthly for me. 100,000 points a month? A month, Deb? Then you are truly the apex strategist. I don't know. You and Gary, the point CFO, I've got a comment from him on him. I'm curious who's going to be more apex. So, Dem, I'll let you be the true judge because I don't see Gary in here tonight. But when I get to his comment in a minute, I'm going to let you and him be to figure out who is the ace and the king of the deck, so to speak. Because man, you guys are at the top of the whole thing. Background balloon. In my opinion, business side also somewhat dying, mainly on the ink train. Yeah, yeah, that was my point. Chase did a 180. They used to like people who churned. At least they didn't mind it as long as you're under 524. Now they do not. Sammy K says, I just tried pre-approval for JetBlue Plus Barclays card and did not get pre-approval, which surprised me. My velocity was high last year, but no new cards since January. Okay. Well, like I said, everybody, it seems like a lot of them are slowing down. And now I will say that upgrade, downgrade still works some, and we're not going to get into that here. That's more of a behind the paywall thing. That still works some. So there are some strategies that can happen. But yeah, it is harder to churn than it's ever been before. Nuracan, spending on the Palladium, Rakuten, and Summit is like getting a sub every quarter. It is. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that people are talking about the negatives, but there are these positives as well that I think are very important to point out. Manuel said there's good weather there in Spain. Good. I hope you're having a great time. Balloon says, LOL, I work at the Hoover Institution and am low key in the habit of calling all our research fellows doctor. Yeah, it's a, it's a, I do have it on some of my like priority pass cards and stuff like that. And it has come in handy a few times. And like I remember there was one priority pass. I think it was the Chase Sapphire in JFK one time when Nona and I were trying to get in, and there was a line, and we handed them my priority pass, and the lady said, "Well, what kind of doctor are you?" And I told her I was a professor and all that stuff, and we actually got in. So I don't know if it helps or not, but it always, I don't, I'm fine with it when students call me that, but it's not a big deal. All right, Stinky Monkey Baby. I've been a long time believer in acquiring keeper cards. Only closed 4 personal cards in the past 6 or 7 years. Wow, that's definitely not the definition of a churner, for sure. Damn, there are a few of us in the Built AV Discord that are far greater optimizers than I am. I'm the rookie in that bunch. Okay, Built AV Discord, Anthony Venture Discord. Yeah, I'm in Anthony's Discord, so I'll have to check that out. Manuel says, got approved for the Amex Business Platinum. All right, so you got to make that 20K spend in did you get, Manuel, did you get the 300K offer or was it less? Because it's up to 300K. Calderas, I'm kind of a value strategist, not high end. Interested in substantially discount for my travel, but not afraid to pay annual fees. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was one of them I kind of described in exactly that way. Mike Nolan, hey Mike, good to have you here. Oh, I like your new little logo there. That looks pretty cool. Your new, what do you call that? An emoji or whatever it is. Good to have you, Mike. Great friend of the channel. And says spicy. All right. Manuel Jimenez. Oh, you got the 300K. That is awesome. I've got some big spend coming up for something that I get reimbursed for, and I'm probably going to do that. I don't know. I might do the a bit. I'll either do the Biz Plat or I'll try to get a Biz Gold and see which one, just to get one of those high bonuses for that spend. And that's the kind of spend I one shot it in one day. Mike Newland, are we talking about the Capital One Platinum card? Ooh, Capital One Platinum. Yeah, that is a great card if you don't want any rewards. Deb, Mike was busy polishing his Capital One Platinum card. Yeah, yeah, I never had one of those. I do have a Quicksilver though. Well, Nona has it, and Quicksilver just got better. In fact, I'm curious to know: does everybody think the Quicksilver's now a better card than the Chase Sapphire Preferred card? I don't know. It in some ways it doesn't have transfer partners in and of itself though, so that's the problem. But is it better than the Freedom Unlimited? I think it might be. Is it better? What do you think than the Freedom Unlimited? It's an interesting question. So, Stinky Monkey says some of my long-term cards were downgraded to zero annual fee or sock drawered. Mainly the reason I have so many open accounts. Yeah, I got a bunch of cards that don't get used to that are zero annual fee. Mike Newland, Chase has not been changing is what their biggest problem is. Yeah, they don't adjust very well or very quick, I guess is the right way to say it. Maldonado Jax, channel member, says hello, REM. To my surprise, the annual fee for the CSR is the old 550. Any other data points on that? Well, I don't have a CSR, but some of the folks in here I know do. I don't know. I mean, 550. I maybe they're grandfathering you in for a while. Don't know how that's working. If anybody has any um, comments for Jax on that, if you have any data points, let them know. Balloon says the QS doesn't have an annual fee. That's where the CSP does, though. So I honestly can see how the Quicksilver could be better. Yeah, I do too. I mean, they really made the. I mean, we always talk about cards getting devalued. They made the Quicksilver better. And I want to talk about this. So, in fact, I'll let me shoot this out a little bit. So this Discover thing is real. So one of the people in our group that were OK State Nate. Hello, REM. Good to see you, Nate. Good to have you here. So one of the people in our group in Italy and in Switzerland, we were all using different cards. You know, I had these are friends, so I had encouraged them to get American Airlines cards. They flew over on American. Some of them used points, all that. Well, one of them had a brand spanking new Capital One Saver card. And he didn't even realize before he left. I mean, his brand spanking new. He got it right before the trip. And he didn't realize it had already switched to Discover. That card worked only about half the time or less. In fact, I mean, there were many times we'd be at dinner and they try to scan his card because in Europe they don't take your card anywhere. They bring the little machine to the table. So they try to scan his card, it would not work, and he'd have to pull out a debit card to do that. I mean, it was rough, and yeah, it was rough as far as that went because that they're saying Discover's got more and more. I'm telling you, we were just in Italy and in Switzerland 2 days, 3 days ago, and a Discover card in our party was only working less than 50% of the time. So that's just a real world data point. All right. Stinky says, oh, monkey baby. I don't know. Stinky monkey baby. I love hearing positive changes from banks, but the unique transfer partners or transfer ratio is the biggest lever for me. Yeah, those are the best of the best of the best. Mike Nolan gifts 10 Reward Master memberships. Thank you, Mike. And if you receive one of those, please express your gratitude as well. So, Mike, thank you. And if you receive one of those, I put out a members only video every week. Put out several last week because I was trying to chronicle our little trip that we took. So, Mike, thank you so much. I know 10 people will be blessed by that for sure. Monkey says Chase is the biggest loser in the unique partnerships now with Built. Yeah, for sure, because Built just has all of them that they had, or at least the vast majority. And it's just a better ecosystem right now, as long as it survives. Background Balloon says the new lander has struck. He's jumped in. Mike says on the Delta business working on the authorized user sub. All right, cool. Delta business. Which one? Business Platinum, Business Reserve? Which one? Nuracan, the goat strikes again. Yes, he does. Mike says that card that I'm using currently to do any memberships, I told Tyler I would say what card I was using when doing it. Oh, okay. Okay, so Delta. That's cool. All right. So let's get back to the well, let me add these to the stage again. And I think we're still on slide 1. So let's move to slide 2. This one's from Family Travel John. You've probably seen him in here. He comments on a lot of stuff. But John, who's a channel member, John said, I'm certainly a strategist, but lately it's been one shiny elevated sub after another. So I might have to admit something. This just made me crack up. And I read it to Nona and she cracked up. Hi, my name is John, and I'm a churner. So I think that kind of accents a truth of all of this, and that sometimes there's what we want to be and there's what we are, right? And I think some people really want to be like an apex strategist, but they'll get cards with a lot of different credits and things, and they're not very good at getting back the credits. So I think that John's comment, while hilarious, also really accented that in this game, there's sometimes what we want to be and what we are. And that's just a fact. All right. Mike says it's the Delta Platinum card, business Platinum card. Makes sense. Dim says, Mike, it's supposed to be the Southwest. Okay. You rookie. And gives a smile and a laugh. Basemo says, I've diced into the dove, I'm thinking he's saying, into the built ecosystem. But what's a good way to protect yourself from a Mesa type crash? I think just being regular about moving points. I'm not moving all my points because I want to get some benefit from those big transfer bonuses, but I'm moving some of them. So I've got not quite 100K in there, but getting close. And I'm going to see what have they. I'm guessing they have not announced what the rent day stuff's going to be this next month, but I haven't heard about it because I've been out of the country. But when I find out what it is, if it's not something that I really, really think that I'll need or want to get a big bonus on for a transfer, I'll probably transfer out a big chunk of points to probably Atmos. And that's what I'm planning to do to kind of protect myself from it. Diced, not diced. Same word, but I kind of think I understand what you mean. Deb says leverage the rent day transfer bonuses and keep a base in your built account for the next one. Yep, that's exactly what I'm describing. Yes, Dove. Yeah, we knew. Dim says I'm hoping for Avios. Okay, Avios would be good. I'd move some there. Hyde is a pipe dream. Yeah, it is. And I don't even know if it's better than some of the rest that it could be. So we'll have to see. All right. So, hi, my name is John and I'm a churner. I thought that was a hilarious comment. Let's go to the next one. This is from P Mart Supermart. And he's a channel member and says, love this video. It's like an expansion on the spender effort video. Some of these categories are fluid since some of them are about redemption and some are about how points are earned. I am at least a value flyer. Okay. So he's talking about, I'm always, this is just the way my mind works. I guess it's my professor head, but I'm always trying to categorize and quadrants and all of this stuff. And so how I've often done it in the past is based upon spend. So a person who's a low spender who versus a person who's a high spender, but that didn't exactly work. And so that's why I kind of expanded it out into this bigger, kind of matrix that I've tried to develop. And it's probably a good time to go through the 10 exact different ones that I came up with. And so and like I said, you can go back and look at this. So under this beginners and simplicity, the first was the rookie. The rookie is new to credit cards. This is the person who's getting their first credit card, or maybe they've not been in the game at all or thought about points and miles at all, and they're just kind of getting their feet wet. So we kind of all understand what that is. Then there's the set it and forget it spender. This is the person who just wants to use one card and they want to get some value back. Probably most likely this person's always going to be a cashback person. They're going to use a 2% cashback card, and then that's going to be the end of it. That's what they're wanting. Then there's the low effort travelers. And the first one I said is the easy traveler, wants to travel with minimal effort, portals in one ecosystem, doesn't optimize, but wants decent value. So they care about some value, but they're not going to put a lot of thought. They're not going to make it a hobby. Okay. So that's important at this level. Then there's the premium minimalist. This person has high spend, but wants low effort. So this might be a person who does have a platinum card from Amex or another high level card, and they don't care that much about annual fees, but they use their cards for convenience. Maybe they like the lounge access, but they're not an optimizer. So this person is probably going to leave credits on the table, right? That's the premium minimalist. And then, of course, on the status, there's the flexor. This is the guy who throws down everybody who has the Amex Black Card is a flexor. That's just who they are. With them, it's not about math, it's about perception. On the budget enthusiast, there's the budget hacker, loves the credit card. This is where it becomes a hobby. I think most of us in here, if you're watching lives on YouTube, most everybody in here is a hobbyist. You like this as a hobby. So this is kind of the mark at which it becomes a hobby. And they love the credit card hobby. They may have limited resources for high annual fees. So they're really slamming no annual fee or low annual fee setups, but they're trying to get points and they're trying to use those points for good value. It's the budget hacker. Under value driven, the value flyer travels economy. With this one, think of my good friend Travis White, who I've done several videos with. We have another one coming out next week. Travis, he flies all over the world and he flies there in economy and he likes Spirit. It's been a bad day for a bad week for a guy who likes Spirit, but he likes Spirit. So he travels economy, maximizes cents per point, and really prioritizes practical redemptions over luxury. So if you get some luxury, great. If not, that's fine. They're not looking for that. Then we have the free travel purist. Think Dugras on this. No money out of pocket is the ultimate goal. Avoids fees when possible, but will pay annual fees on cards in order to get, the value and to kind of be able to either get cash back or points and still at the end of the day have it be a net zero. Obsessed with outsizing redemptions. So like Dugras will even use this cash back stuff to put the money aside to pay for stuff that you can't pay for with points and miles. So this is the free travel purist. Then the advanced players, the churner, we've already talked about, like a guy like Filmo would be that, and he would readily say that he is constantly churning new welcome bonuses. You got to have a high level mentality for the points and miles world as a hobbyist to do this. And then there's the apex strategist. As we mentioned, Dim's here, Gary Points CFO. I would kind of be not as advanced as them, but that would be kind of be where I am. This is high spend, high engagement, pays big fees and pays them on purpose because they're wanting all the perks and to get, this person likes, and this is what it comes down to. And I think this is true of others as well. Once we hit that break off of in the middle of the list, when it becomes a hobby, then it becomes a game. And for this person, they're trying to get value, but it's not because they need that value in their life. It's because they like to win. And they're playing this game to win. And it's just it's a rush when you get a great sign up bonus, or when you get back way more from your card than that high annual fee you're paying, or when you use a free night cert for a $1,200 hotel night. That's a rush. And that's the Apex strategist. That's what they love. So that's the breakdown of all of them. And I think those 10 different groups or different types of travelers is a better way to do it than the quadrants about spending that I used to put together. All right, let me go back to some comments. We got to have some comments in here now. We got 51 people watching, 26 have hit the like button. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so. Let me come back up here. Let's see. I've already been through some of that. Let me see. Sometimes it's easy to lose your place on this. Hide his pipe dream. We went through that one. Okay, here we go. Basemo, my fingers are bigger than my brain. Okay. Mike says, I know Dem because I'm in Austin. It only makes sense. And Dem says Southwest and CSR for the win. Yeah, those are your favorite. I know they're your favorite. And then Nikolai says, did you get the Virgin card? I did not, and I think I missed the elevated bonus. Even though they were sending me emails every day, I was a little occupied traveling with a group in Europe, so I missed it. Dim says, I have a client who runs over 1 million monthly through his Centurion business card and swears by it. Whoa. $1 million a month. I don't know if that's the flexor or that. What did I call that one back there? Yeah, the premium minimalist. Yeah, that's probably who your friend is. He doesn't care how much he gets for his points, most likely. SCS says it's easy travel worth upgrading to the CSR or better sticking to the CSP. Oh, is the easy traveler? Well, as far as I think probably CSP wants to travel with minimal effort. Portals in one ecosystem doesn't optimize decent value. I mean, I think that the CSR, that minimal effort thing, gets kind of thrown out of the window when you're talking about the CSR. I'm actually starting to warm on the CSR. I did despise it before, but I'm warming on it now that I'm researching it more, thinking about it more. But I don't think it would work for the easy traveler. That's kind of my answer. Nicola says, how did your built card do on the trip? It was perfect. It only gave me one trouble, but so did my City Prestige. And then my Ritz-Carlton card went through, and that was to buy train tickets. But a lot of people were having trouble. I think it was their machine. They ultimately switched card machines. So besides that, used it all the time. Didn't use it on dining, used it on everything else. It worked perfect. Mike Newland. So what about the guy that uses a platinum card at a hotel because he's using his FHR and he uses it for the whole day and it's over 300? Well, I don't know. I suppose that's probably a blend of a couple of them because that's not maximizing for sure. But the fact that he's using FHR, I mean, that's kind of a person who's really tried to work to get their credits back. So I guess it's probably a blend of the two. Or maybe an Apex traveler who's not thinking about it much. Or, I mean, we all make mistakes. Our systems don't work perfectly. So Dr. Points and Miles, CSR really depends on how you travel. If you do a weekend where you stay at an edit, go to dinner and see a show, you can easily make the annual feedback. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing with it. I still don't think it's going to work for me, although I could make it work, but that's kind of where I'm seeing it at too. All right. The next comment is here it is. Okay, Dim, I hope you're still, yeah, I just see a comment came through. Okay, Dim, I want to know, is it you or Gary the Points CFO? Which one of you guys is the Apex here? It's okay to be vice president of the Apex Club, okay? So let me know. Gary says, definitely an Apex strategist. Spent over 30K on card fees and love the game as a hobby. $30,000 on fees, annual fees. As long as I can get value, I have the card or multipliers. Over a dozen Amex Platinum and similarly many Amex Business Golds due to 150K Forex point cap. Very, very high spender and go for it all. In it to win it. Yes, issues. Thanks for the laugh. Waiting for the altitude reserve to announce travel partners. Already blew through built accelerators. I mean, wow. That is an apex strategist. 30K in annual spend. So that is awesome. I wish Gary was in here tonight that we could talk about that. Did I hear the news about Quicksilver? Yeah, we talked about it a little earlier with the elevated multipliers 3x, and I think it makes the Quicksilver a better card for sure than the Freedom Unlimited, and maybe even better than the CSP. Dem says Mike Newland, that guy didn't have a choice. The hotel forced him to pay for all his food and drinks at checkout for the $100 credit on the card that gave him that credit. Yes, and they do that sometimes for sure. Nat Blankenship just ate at a Resi restaurant after stacking 8 months of $10 Delta Platinum credits. Definitely love getting the most out of that card. Yeah, and I did that today. That's hilarious, Nat. That because today for lunch, Nona and I were in town. It was my mama's birthday, and so we went by and see her, but we didn't want to eat at her care facility, so we went to the one Resi restaurant in our community, and I had a wallet full of gift cards, and we went up, but I wanted to use my Delta Platinum card that I just got upgraded to from the Delta Gold with an upgrade bonus, and I wanted to use get my $10. So I pulled out, the bill was like 60, and I pulled out two $40 gift cards and handed him 3 cards, my Delta Platinum, 2 $20 gift cards, and said, apply the gift cards and then put the rest on here. And he's like, oh, okay. I can't imagine the look on the waiter's face when you gave him $10 gift cards. That is next level. That is definitely an apex move. That's cool. Mike Newland laughs. Dim, I think he's responding to Point CFO that he's going to bow out. Dim, no $30,000 a year in annual fees. You don't have 12 platinum cards. I mean, that is just, isn't that crazy? Crazy. Okay, Nat says Resi. Deb, don't necessarily like sharing my annual spend, but it's in the 7 figures. Yeah. Good deal. I knew you were up there with him. I knew you guys are at the top of you're the ace and the king for sure. Sounds like the Saver X is coming soon. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's not in the very near future. Damn, property taxes alone get me. Yeah, I know. Mine's built into my mortgage, but a lot of people have those to pay. Juan Garcia, good evening, Bop. Late but here. Hey, Juan, channel member, good to have you here. We're having a fun time tonight. Nat Blankenship, great minds think alike. Well, sometimes. All right, so let's get on to the next one. SCS TAC ZZ says, I'm the easy traveler. Chase Sapphire Preferred has been outstanding for that one vacation a year. Always thinking about product changing to the CSR, though. Thanks for the great video. Yeah, easy traveler. I mean, honestly, the Sapphire Preferred, really good for the easy traveler. Maybe the City Strata Premier even better, but that's where those cards live. That easy traveler, that $95 to $150 annual fee, kind of entry level travel card. That's where the easy traveler lives. So I thought this was a good comment to kind of point that out. All right, we got over 50 still watching. 28 have hit the like button, so do that if you have not done so, please. Let's see. Nat says, it was a digital gift card, so a little less awkward than with physical gift cards. Yeah, okay. Well, mine are physical. So, yeah. And I did take several of my kids when they were home for holidays. I took them to that restaurant and they love it. It's a great restaurant, by the way. And I think I threw five of them at him the last time. It was a different waiter, but when around Christmas time when my kids were here. So, yeah, physical, digital. Yeah, either way it works. All right, still about 50 watching, so let's go to the next one. This is from Nat. Right here we go, Nat. There you are. You're featured right here. Says not high spend, but I definitely have apex behavior with annual fees, and desire to get as much out of my cards as possible. Hey, and I just talked about how you're playing the Resi gift card game. Now you're talking about how you have an apex behavior, and I think that you're validated that in the live stream tonight. So yeah, this is the thing is that uh, I said the apex strategist is high spend, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, right? These are not concrete distinctions that we move between them, right? We don't necessarily fit them exactly. If I didn't have extra spend I got reimbursed for, I probably wouldn't have enough to be considered high spend. But everybody's situation is different. There are folks who don't have a high salary but have extremely high spend, right? I mean, there are small business owners who at the end of the day don't have a super high take home, but their business, I mean, if they're only making margins of 10, 12%, their business may be spending an absolute fortune and they can have high spend. So it's not an exact science where everything fits exactly into the mold, right? So that's great, Nat. So thank you for the great comment. Juan Garcia says hello to Dem, and Dem says hello back. All righty. Let's see what we got next. Well, let me get Juan says to Dem, just checked in by your neck of the woods. So must be down there in the Sunshine State or the Gunshine State. Is that what you called it before? And Hey Blinken says, Mike Newland, thanks for the membership. Yep, that's right. Mike gifted 10 of those things. So several are going to be blessed by them. I know. All right, here we go. This is from Joe NY Law. Joe comments on a lot of videos, channel member, has been for a long time. Says, I really think I'm in those last two categories. I love this hobby. And I wanted to include this one because of the word hobby. And I've already talked about that some in this live already. But you realize that a lot of us, and if you're watching a live stream on this, you're a hobbyist. And a lot of us are we're just kind of crazy about it. But that's not bad. People are, you got any buddies that are bass fishermen? They're crazy about it. You got anybody who's I mean, I'll play golf sometimes, but I don't buy new clubs and I don't, watch the golf channel and read golf magazines. I mean, it's not my hobby. I'll play golf, but it's not my hobby. Just like there's a lot of people who use a credit card, but it's not their hobby. For those of us who are passionate about this, we're hobbyists. And it really struck me today because I was mowing my acreage and I always have my Bose headphones on, noise canceling, so I can hear over the mower. And I listened to YouTube videos. And I was listening to a lady, and she was talking about how in this, some of the advice that's given isn't always right. And it was very clear that I've done videos like that too, like my unpopular opinion videos. But it was kind of ironic and hilarious to me that all of her points were like almost the exact opposite of my points because she was talking to people who aren't hobbyists, right? So she was saying things like, well, it's not true that you need to amass a lot of points. Well, or that you need to utilize every multiplier. She said, it's not true that there was all stuff like that, which I think for people who aren't hobbyists is pretty good advice. My question would be, is anybody watching those videos who's not wanting to be a hobbyist? I don't know, because most people watch my videos, I think, probably want to dive into this deep. So if a person's not wanting to do it as a hobby, they are not going to be able to keep up with the CSR or the Amex Platinum, especially not multiples, right? And the annual fees. They're not going to get their value because they're not going to be constantly trying to game it and win, right? But for those of us who do, when we win, it's a rush. And I think that's not talked about enough because there are lots of videos on YouTube. Most of them on YouTube are geared towards the people who are getting into this and they're a hobbyist. I mean, honestly, I don't know if y'all figured it out, but the Rewards Master channel, I'm a hobbyist. I love it. I love the game. I want to win. And a lot of my stuff speaks to people who love the game and want to win. I mean, that's who I think really all of you are. So it's kind of funny. There's a massive difference, massive disconnect between the two. And I think it's interesting because a lot of us, when we speak to people who aren't hobbyists, it's hobbyists speaking to non-hobbyists about how to do this. And I find that really ironic and interesting. So I don't know. That might have just been a rant. Forgive me if it was. Um, Dem says, you're in Boca, Juan. Nice. Check out Misner Park. All right. And Juan says, yes, sir. Sure is in Boca. Okay. We're at 51 minutes. I think we got a few more of these. A travel blogger Buzz said Apex strategizing for 30 plus years, earning and burning 1 to 2 million miles and points per year. I moved from rookie to this level in lightning speed. Yeah, I think people who really get hooked on the hobby, I think a lot of them move from lightning speed from the beginning point rookie to apex fast, right? You can move there fast if that's what you're really passionate about. All right, New Beginnings 9457 said, I'm the shapeshifter. I like that different distinction. Cards always become useless after time and need to be replaced by better options. Now, I didn't include shapeshifter as one of my different types of travelers, but I do think this is a brilliant comment because, yes, you got to be willing to shift, right? Let me tell y'all, and I'm going to include some stuff about this on Sunday in my main live, but I've been just shocked the last few days with fuel prices going up and stuff. I needed to book some stuff for Nona, and we were trying to book on points, and American was just more expensive than usual. And I'm really familiar with what American costs. And I checked Delta, of course, it wasn't good, but I checked United. Every day I checked to several destinations, United was cheaper than American. I mean, American, their low end was 17,000 points, and United had 15,000, 15,000, 15,000, 15,000, 15,000. And so I mean, I can earn a lot of United points because, Bill will go to United if I wanted to, and because I can slam mileage plus X. I mean, I can slam it. Am I going to switch from AA to really valuing United points? I don't know that I will. This trend may not continue, but if it does, absolutely 100% because I'm going to shift. And I think we have to be shapeshifters in that way. I mean, loyalty to these programs and these banks is ridiculous. They won't be loyal to you. You need to do what's best for you. And you got to have some knowledge to do that, but that's very, very important. Dim asked me, did I check Atmos? I did. And it was about the same. It was 15K. So it was the same as United. And I have a bunch of United points that I don't plan to use. I would burn those first because Atmos points are real valuable for business and first class overseas. So that's kind of the strat. If they're the same price, I'm going to burn the United first. But yeah, Atmos wasn't cheaper. It was the same, but it wasn't cheaper. Jay Kelsey, I've been having more success with Atmos over AA lately. Yeah, but on the routes we need, at the times we need, I've not found good availability on American with Atmos. That's not just lately. I mean, it may change overnight, but just lately. Okay, 10 types of credit card users. Still on this. Waldo Rano Said, fun video. I guess I'm an apex strategist with a side of churner and a hint of free travel purist. In other words, there's a casserole of things going on here, and I think most of us would probably be that way if we were overly honest about it. We got a little bit of some of them, right? I got a little bit of churner in me, I can tell you that. And here's Dem's comment. All right. So Dem said, definitely an apex strategist, although I think I can fall into one or two other categories. Good one. Well, yeah, Dem. I mean, you're definitely an apex strategist, but I think all of us probably have a little bit of some of the rest as well. All right. Mike Newland says, did you check Spirit Airlines? They transfer from Built also. Yes, they do. Good call. But no, I did not check Spirit because it was Nona flying, and I wouldn't have checked it for me either. But I definitely not putting Nona on Spirit because that is a recipe for a bad, bad circumstance. I mean, she would not be happy with that. So no, Night, but thank you for the suggestion. Thank you for the suggestion. John Tapia says, yes, I finally made it to your live. Was tired of missing my weekly education on how to travel and live the dream, living the dream, baby. All right, John, good to have you here. You're here at the end though, because I'm just wrapping up. In fact, that was the last slide. So as I wrap up, let me encourage you. I will have one on Sunday afternoon, although I do have to take Nona to the airport super early, and then I got church that morning and all that. But still plan on having that. I'm gonna try to get it all ready tomorrow, and I hope you'll tune into that. I'm gonna talk a little bit of this United thing and maybe do some price comparison, some other stuff on the slate as well. Dim says he should check Southwest. Yeah, I actually did. It wasn't any better. Um, And then Mike says, that's fire. Upside Down P says, oh, I missed it. Well, sorry you missed it, but it'll be recorded so you can go back and watch some of it. Says, take this like before you go. Well, thank you. That pumped us up to 32 likes. That's very helpful. Thank you very much. And Mike Newland says, glad you're back from Italy safely. Thank you. We did have a great time. Nobody commented on the horse steak. Anybody had a horse steak overseas? If you can get your answer in real quick before I wrap up, because I got to go back through. I think tonight, I know that Mike Newland gifted 10 Rewards Master memberships. Thank you, Mike. I know some have already expressed their gratitude for that, as I've tried to express mine. And Dim gave a $4.99 super. So thank you for that, Dim, as well. So thank you, everybody who is here to support the channel. And I just appreciate every one of you. And Mike says, importantly, glad you got Nona back safely. Yep, she's back. And as I said earlier, I think we got about 16, 17 videos on that she's going to be working on and making, and I'll help her edit and all that for Away Again Travel. So go over to Away Again if you haven't went over there, because she's going to have a lot of content coming up in the near future. Mike says, what did he use to make that donation? What did he use to make that donation? You lost me there, buddy. All right. I'm going to wrap it up now. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And hopefully you'll be back. Here's one. Dr. Points, I've had bashashi, horse sushi. Oh, mine was rare, but it was not raw. Card. Okay. All right, guys. Appreciate you. We will see you here next time.